Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning visitor, welcome back. If you like this kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, please leave a comment. I would like to know what you think. Now let's begin. So this happened some years ago. I was going through some hard times, and I was down on my luck, so I ended up having to stay with this woman that I knew from church. I won't say her name, but I will say her initials. Is SS. Okay, so we'll just leave it as that. And this took place in Seattle, Washington. So I was staying with this lady, and she has two kids. Her kids are older. One was an adult, and I think the other one was still in high school. Her oldest one was a daughter, and the younger one was a son. I think the son might have been a junior or not a freshman. I think he was like a junior or senior in high school, and her daughter was already grown. Her daughter was kind of a wild card. You know, her and her daughter had some issues at times, and I guess they just didn't get along at times. I don't know. But this was one of those times her daughter was living there with her. So I stayed with them for a little while and did my part while I was there, like help with stuff, chores and stuff like that. Um, so that was pretty much the situation. So I noticed the daughter seemed to kind of have an issue with me being there. Um, I think she might have had some jealousy of the relationship me and her mom had. I tend to have older friends, so I was much closer to the daughter's age than I was the mom's age. So maybe the daughter was kind of looking at the age difference and seeing how well me and her mom got along. But let me tell you something. I would say SS wasn't really a true friend, the girl's mom. And you'll kind of see why as the story kind of plays out, among other things that SS has done. So, little by little, the daughter started to show me her attitude and just kind of like she didn't really like me being there. And I really didn't stay with them long. I hadn't been there long. And so one day the daughter came up with this plan to set me up. Now, I didn't know it. I didn't see it coming. I just knew I just had this bad feeling about what this daughter was up to. Um, I wouldn't even say it was a bad feeling. The Lord actually tried to warn me, and at that time, I wasn't super familiar with the Lord's voice. I just knew I was hearing it in my spirit, but I wasn't sure what was going on. So her daughter invited me out to this place that was in the city of, well, it was an area called Skyline or Skyway, something like that, um, within the Seattle area. And I'm assuming that was Seattle, but the area was called Skyline or something like that, or Skyway. And it was a bowling alley there. And that's where she was like, yeah, let's go hang out there and so on and so forth, right? So I said, okay. So we went there, and I just know that while we was sitting at this place, next thing I know, she leaves me just kind of sitting by myself. And I didn't think anything of it. I just kind of sat there and enjoyed the atmosphere. Next thing I know, somebody comes to me, somebody I don't know, and says to me, hey, are you with that girl, whoop-de whoop whoop? I was like, yeah. And they was like, well, she's outside talking mess about you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is she talking about? And I just kind of ignored that. Like, what? Like, it didn't make sense what this person was saying to me, so I just continued to sit where I was at. Next thing I know, she comes in and tries to start a fight with me. And I don't even remember what she said to me, but she was trying to fight me, right? And so I just kind of stood there like, what? What are you talking about? And she's saying all this crazy stuff to me. And I'm like, what is she talking about, you know? And one thing I noticed is that with all that huffing and puffing she was doing, she wouldn't throw the first hit, though she was trying to start this fight, instigate this fight. And I was just like, okay. And I just, I just wouldn't give in to it. I was like, look, I already have enough on my plate. I don't need no more issues in my life right now. So that's pretty much how that went. Just she's standing there saying all this crazy stuff, and um I think later somebody had told me that she was outside, or it might have been right when that person came and told me this, because this is all the best from the best of my memory. They were saying that she was outside pacing back and forth, just talking mess about me. And see, that sounded crazy to me, and that's why I didn't go outside. I was like, what? So, like I said, her plan didn't work for me to come outside, so she came inside and started this mess with me. So, as all this nonsense ended, we never ended up fighting, thank God. And a nice lady decided to take me home, of course, because obviously I couldn't ride back with the girl. So she takes me by the house, and by the time I get there, so I guess old girl left before me or something, because it was a minute before I ended up coming back. So I get there, and all my stuff is thrown out in the street. And I'm like just in shock, like, what is she doing? She's throwing all my stuff outside. And I'm saying to SS, like, what's going on? And SS is telling me, oh, my daughter told me that she got into it with somebody and you didn't have her back. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that didn't happen. It was a lie. It was a total lie. And so I was being put out on the street at that moment because of the lie this girl was telling. I just couldn't believe it. So while the girl is touching my stuff, throwing it out on the street, I mean, my stuff was spread everywhere, honey. I just, it was in the middle of the night, because this was like wee hours of the night. And we're arguing, and I guess she was done throwing my stuff out. There was no more stuff to throw out. And now we're just standing there arguing, and I'm standing there arguing with this girl, and the lady who took me there was like, come on, you don't got time for this, and just come on, come on. And I just kept arguing, and the lady just left me. So now I'm out there, my stuff on the street, me and the girl arguing. And then all of a sudden, something catches my eye. And lo and behold, I looked down and I saw that this girl had busted my anointed oil. It was a gift to me on my wedding day. Um, and I was no longer with my first husband at that time. So, but I still saved the anointed oil because anointed oil is anointed oil. And I looked down and I saw that, and I immediately got quiet. I looked and I said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like, ooh, like something like, you done did it now. It's between you and God now. It's in God's hands now. I'm done with it. And she got scared like a little girl. She was like, what is it? And I looked, I showed her. I was like, look what you did. You busted my anointed oil. And so she looked scared for a moment. I was like, I was done with the argument. There was nothing to argue about anymore at this point. I'm like, whoa, you done did it now. You done busted my anointed oil. I was done. There was nothing to argue about. I was done. I shut up. There was nothing to argue about. I was done. And she like stood there for a moment and quickly made the decision that she was going to continue to act a fool. But there was nothing to argue about at that point. I just pretty much quietly started picking up my stuff. I didn't have nothing else to say to her at that. There was nothing to argue about. Not anymore. So I picked up my stuff. As I'm picking up my stuff, I think her mom, SS, witnessed it at that moment and probably knew her daughter was in trouble at that point. And may have even figured that her daughter might have lied by her daughter's reaction to that oil being busted on the ground. And you know what I said after that, saying that, hey, now it's between you and God. So I'm picking up my stuff, right? And so old girl's daughter was like, well, oh well, and I got some place to stay and you don't, and was just kind of rubbing it in my face. And she's like, "Come on, Mom, let's go in the house." And I'm out there in the middle of the night picking my stuff up off the street, right? So I guess her mom, I don't even know if you want to call it a case of conscience or what, but her mom was like, instead of just all the way doing the right thing, she was like, "Well, you could just leave your stuff in the trunk of my car and just come back and get it later." But as of at that moment, I'm kicked out the house, right? Unjustly kicked out the house. So I was like, okay. So I got all my stuff together and put the stuff in the trunk of her car because I didn't have a car at that time. And basically, I ended up having to walk the streets that night. There was no buses running. I walked to somebody's house that I knew from work, and thank God this was during my one of my days off, and I had a job at that time. So, that job was pretty much my safety net. So it wasn't like I was broke and didn't have any money. I just didn't have a car. So I went over to a coworker's house. It was a little bit of a walk from there, and that's what happened that night. So a little bit of time goes by, maybe like, a couple of weeks, but during those couple of days that I was homeless, I mean, completely on the street now, um, the Lord provided a place for me to sleep that night. Then, like the next day, I had found some other place to sleep. The Lord had blessed there. And then I finally got into another place. Like, I ended up finding a really good room for rent. It was at the St. Francis house. It was out in the U District. Those people really blessed me. It was a really nice program. If anybody ever need any help, I recommend you try that place. That place really blessed me. I was so grateful to have that place to stay. You do have to pay rent there and stuff like that, of course, but it was really nice, and I really appreciated what they did for me. So to continue with the story, so I pretty much got on my feet quickly. The Lord blessed, opened some doors, and then I was back to work, almost like nothing ever happened. Um, so some time went on now. Like I said, a couple of weeks went by, and the girl, I don't even think it was a whole couple of weeks, but it was like a short period of time that went by, and the girl, SS daughter, had confessed to her mom that it was all a lie. And so I think by then I had came back to get my stuff. At that point, I had found a ride to go get my stuff, right? And the girl apologized to me and gave me a gift card. I was like, okay, it didn't replace everything. I don't even, I'm not even going to go there. And I just feel like the only reason why she was sorry is because of that anointed oil. It wasn't because she did anything wrong. I don't think the girl's a good person. I don't think she's a completely rotten person, but I don't think she's a good person either. Okay. This is just my opinion. So in SS, instead of apologizing to me, um, she just let her daughter apologize. And I'm like, okay. Didn't really do anything to make it right. She just kind of let her daughter handle it. And I was just like, okay, I just forgave her and went on about my business. But after that, I just kind of stopped having dealings with SS because of that. I just didn't like, I just didn't like how she handled that situation, especially now that she know that her daughter lied and you couldn't even bring yourself to apologize to me and really try to make it right. It is what it is. Well, let me tell you what happened after that. Well, let me tell you, you reap what you sow. You gotta understand, not only did the daughter not treat me right and set me up and try to do harm to me and did some harm to me, her son at times didn't treat me right and disrespected me. And I just felt like her kids kicked me while I was down, okay? And they were old enough to know better. And the mom, she kind of has this, I don't know, I won't even go there. All I know is I didn't like how I was treated by that family and how the mom handled the situation. It wasn't right. So, and she should have checked her kids. about respecting adults, especially adults who are older than them. Okay? Especially her high school son. But I don't know if she really witnessed how her son treated me, but she definitely saw how her daughter treated me. And like I said, just I don't feel like she handled it right altogether. But that's neither here nor there now. Like I said, you reap what you sow. And let me tell you, since then, I was hearing stuff through the grapevine about what happened with that family. The daughter ended up somehow having some fallout with her brother or something, and SS kicked her daughter out the house. And now her daughter became homeless. And SS, from what I understood, never wanted nothing to do with her daughter again. Like she just like cut her off, you know. Um, and from my understanding, even if they were to have a relationship, she don't want her daughter ever living with her again. That's pretty much like the last I heard, that her daughter was on the outs and she had cut her off, I guess, or at least put her on the street and wouldn't let her live with them again. And then as for SS and her son, not only that, but SS lived in her little house, and this house was off of Rainier Avenue. I think Rainier Avenue, Rainier Street. Rainier's a long street. So she lived off this little house that was, well, in this little house that was kind of off of Rainier Avenue. It was like a short distance from that street. And she lived in that place, I think, for like 20 years. And suddenly the owner wanted to sell the house. So now she's been displaced. So from the last I heard, they were moving to place, couldn't really settle anywhere, wasn't really happy. I think they moved into some apartment and they were having problems there. They end up being very unstable. And so I don't know what's happening in their lives now, but I just remember back then they paid for what they did to me. And they end up becoming displaced, basically homeless or unstable. And in some ways, I saw where the son reaped what he sowed, treating me the way he did and stuff like that. His came like in a unique way. I won't go into that, but well, it was unique to me. But that's pretty much what happened. You can't do God's people wrong and just think there's not going to be any repercussions. Be mindful of your actions. But anyway, that's my video. Let me know what you think. And keep checking out this channel for more great stories and stuff I've been through in life, and perhaps you can learn something from it. Okay, bye-bye.